Alright, so thank you all for coming out to Generic SuperCon 2000 something. It's been a real pleasure. I think we have time for one more question.
So I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was really excited to come to this convention, you see, but I ended up oversleeping and then I went downstairs and it didn't have any Blue Tiger cereal, which I like to call Frosted Flakes. But you see, my English teacher, and she told me, listen, fan fiction is not a real form of literature.
Okay, I'm very sorry to cut you off, but what exactly is your question?
My question is, in a death battle, would Goku or Superman win?
Okay guys, I'm very sorry. I think we've run out of time. Thank you for coming. Drive home safe. Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Taylor Campbell here. I'm back again with another video for you guys. This time around, I was thinking a little bit about Comic-Con. So Comic-Con is a wonderful place where fans and creators and celebrities and communities, pretty much anyone, can get together, celebrate comic books, celebrate comic book culture. It's a good deal. And that got me thinking, when was the first Comic-Con? And I did some digging and I found some interesting stuff and I wanted to share it with you guys. So the first comic book convention that I can find took place in 1965 in New York City at the Broadway Central Hotel. While fans have congregated before, and we've even had some fan magazines show up occasionally based on specific characters, and comic book creators have always been open and willing to talk to their fans, this was the first time that creators were invited to a venue for a specific event to answer questions, to field responses. It was also the first time we had something of a superhero costume competition, and some very interesting things happened at this 1965 convention. So let's go back in time for a little bit and let me tell you what it would have been like for you to go to that convention. So first things first, you pull up to the venue. It was the Broadway Central Hotel, and almost immediately you would be tempted to walk away. It's not great. The Broadway Central Hotel, incidentally, was originally built to be the biggest and grandest hotel of its kind, and it succeeded. But the New York Times also called the Broadway Central Hotel the greatest example of riches to rags. While the hotel was home to various world events like the formation of the National Baseball League, it also was the home of murders and suicides and stuff. And by 1965, the hotel was in pretty bad repair. Eyewitnesses talk about how the smell was just horrendous and the walls were just covered with like cockroaches crawling up and down them. One guy in the documentary Batman and Bill, he talked about this convention and mentioned that he almost wasn't allowed to go in because the first thing they saw when they entered the lobby was a drunk guy just passed out in the middle of the floor. And so that's the kind of place that this convention was taking. Probably not the best place to be ever anywhere. It is also very hot that day. The convention took place on July 31st and concluded on August 1st, so right there in the really hot part of summer. That's when this convention took place. The convention hall, it's not terribly crowded by today's standards. In 1965 though, if you went to this, you would have been amazed at how many people were there. The next biggest thing before that was a gathering of comic book fans in 1964. This was mainly for fans to get together and show off their collections and buy, sell, trade. It's pretty much just a swap meet. And that one had 100 people in it. The convention of 1965 had 200. They doubled their numbers, which is huge. And why was it so big? Because of the guests that they brought, and this is an impressive guest list. The president of the association who set up this convention, Dave Kaler, he was able to get some crazy big names here at the time. He was first able to get Otto Binder. He did a bunch with Captain Marvel. Gardner Fox, he was a writer in the Golden Age. Mort Weisinger, he was probably one of the most influential Superman editors ever. He did a lot to determine how the Silver Age of comics felt. Gil Kane, he co-created Green Lantern. And the most impressive one on this list, and probably the most shocking event there, was Bill Finger. And so if you went to this convention, you would have heard some amazing ideas from these amazing people, and you would have also been one of the first people to learn about Bill Finger co-creating Batman and his contribution to that character. It's one of the few instances we know of that we have recorded where Bill Finger was live and he was expressing his contributions to Batman. Really cool stuff. I wish I could have been a fly on the wall there to hear what he had to say. That would have been fantastic. And when everything was done, the organization that set up the con, they gave out various comic book awards, and then they had a costume contest, and everyone went home. That's pretty much how it went. It's kind of amazing to me how this convention went, though. It's like the venue itself was so humble. It was so small compared to what we have now, where we hold comic-cons in some of the biggest convention centers in the country. And then we went from small crowds, like 200 people, just 200 dedicated fans, to thousands getting together to celebrate and pretty much do exactly the same thing we've always done. Listen to our creators, share our comics with each other, dress up in fun costumes, and just overall have a fun time. I think it's also kind of cool how Comic-Con mirrors the comic industry. As the comic book community gained more respect over the years, Comic-Con grew. But even when Comic-Con wasn't big, it still did the best that it could. And while the people they brought in and the creators they had for these panels were maybe not the most contemporary for 1965, they were nonetheless extremely important. These are some of the most important people of the 50s and earlier that came to this convention to talk with the fans and share with them. And so what happened since then? Well, the association that set up the 1965 Comic-Con in New York City, they did two more, one in 66, one in 67. They were able to get even more names. Stan Lee is one of those names they were able to bring in. And then Comic-Con just kind of switched hands a few times until it became what it is today. So, there you go. My question for you today is, what is your favorite Comic-Con memory? Also, why is pizza round? It shouldn't be round. The boxes are square and you get more pizza if the pizza is square, but it's round. Go ahead and leave me your thoughts down in the comments below. And until next time, thank you for joining me. Have a great day. And remember to always be your best self.